Welcome to Generations, a show which helps people 50 and better lead happy, healthy, and productive lives. Here's today's moderator, Gloria VanDemmeltraadt.
Hello, and welcome to Generations. I'm Gloria VanDemmeltraadt. I'll be serving as your moderator today. We have a great show in front of you today with actually two guests. Our first guest will be Candy Pettiford. Welcome, Pet.
I'm loving to be here. Thank you. I'm coming back.
Wonderful,
back.
Candy.
Thank
Great to have you with us. And we have Nadia Giordana. Welcome, Nadia.
I'm happy to be here today.
Great. Good to have you. And we have Beverly Crosby with us today. So nice to have you with us, Beverly.
Oh, I'm loving being here. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Ellie Freed. Hi, Ellie. Good to
Gloria.
have you.
Great to be here.
Great. And our second guest today is Diane Morgan. Welcome, Diane.
Thank you very much. It's my first time in front of cameras like this, and I am very impressed.
Wonderful. We're delighted to have you. We're going to start, I think, with Candy. Candy was a host on this show
Yes.
several years ago, and you left us, and we miss you. We're very glad to have you back today.
Thank you for having me come back to visit. I'll visit as much as I can.
Wonderful.
And while you're in town here, you're visiting family, but
Yes.
you're busy working on a new book that's about to come
Yes,
out, and that's what
yes.
you're here to talk about, isn't
I'm
it?
here to talk about a little bit about that. You know, I have
Yeah.
14 shows, but then the book is called What Do You Do While You Wait?
What do you do while you wait?
Wait, whether you're waiting to get married, whether you're waiting to have a baby, whether you're waiting to go to the hospital, whether you're waiting to get your car fixed, whether you're waiting at the airport, and I do a lot of waiting at the airport, and never fails. Your flight is canceled, or the snow has slowed it down, or whatever. So what do you do while you wait?
I have a feeling you're not going to tell us to be on our cell phones.
Oh, do not be on your cell phones, and it also, the subtitle is, what do you do while you wait when TV and movies are not a wise option? Because if you're sitting there watching TV and movies, you're not getting things done. Like, you could write thank you cards. Let's say that there was a wedding or whatever. You should be writing thank you cards, or get birthday cards out, whatever. There's so many things, or writing your grocery list. Sometimes I'm sitting at the airport, I'm going, oh, okay, I'm going to go home now. I don't have, what do I have? Okay, and I write down a grocery list. And so I say, in your mind, go like you're in your home and go through your cupboard and go to your refrigerator and write down, okay, I don't have mayonnaise. Oh, I'm going to have spaghetti tonight. So I'm going to have spaghetti. I mean, so you could be thinking of all these things instead of, on your phone, texting.
You could even be writing your memoir.
You could even be writing your memoir. There's so much to do while you're waiting. We wait most of our lives. We're waiting a lot of our lives. Whether we're waiting for somebody to come to pick us up, or whether we're waiting to go to church, or we're waiting to drive the car, we're waiting a lot. And
I can't wait to read this book.
Yes, yes.
Or stuck in traffic.
Or stuck in traffic. When my daughters were younger, they used to come down and they said, I said, what are you doing? Oh, I'm waiting for my friend to come pick me up. And I said, isn't there something you could be doing while you're waiting? Can't you be doing your homework? Is your homework done? Oh, no, it's not. Well, you've got a half an hour right before they come. Yeah. Get your homework done. Or, you see the dishes? Oh, Mom. What can you be doing while you're waiting? And now they teach their children, what can you do while you wait? Make that time work for you.
Go ahead.
How did you come up with that
Wait.
idea for a book?
Well, you know what? I find myself waiting a lot. And I saw a lot of people waiting, and they don't use their time wisely. And I thought, maybe I need to help them to use their time wisely. Not just, and I have to say, there's a lot of people on the plane. They're looking at their phone, but they've got movies on.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, you could be writing something down, you could be doing something, you could be doing something totally else, but that's a lot of wasted time.
Where were you years ago when I had kids in sports activities?
Thank you. Oh.
I spent months sitting in the car.
on the bench or whatever.
We're sitting in the car waiting for them to come out from the
Yes.
locker room. I usually kept a book in the car, and a paperback.
And that's good too. I always say too,
But
read a book.
it is a waste of brain power. It's a big waste of brain power.
You mean, what are you saying?
When
Diane?
you're sitting there with a phone
Thank
or
you.
or
It's a waste of
television,
brain
it's a waste
power.
of brain power.
Absolutely.
Use your brain. And you know the
Absolutely.
thing is, I find the more that you write, the more that you keep your memory. Now, we all want to keep our memory.
You're right.
Oh, I want to keep my memory, so I think I'm going to be doing more writing. So, yeah, you're right. What a waste of brain power.
It is.
We're wasting too much time. We're wasting too much time. And I see a lot of people who are going to have a baby or get married. What can you do in that time when you're going to get married? You've got to, do the testing of the cake, get your music person together. There's nothing worse than you go to a wedding and this person's, and I love, and like, I'm saying, oh my God, you did not take your time to check out a musician, and your wedding now sucks. So what do you do while you wait for your getting married? What do you do while you wait for have a baby? Get them to make you a quilt, paint the baby's room. Oh, so many things.
Candy, what a great subject, what a great
Thank
topic.
you.
And I know I'd like to go on for more time. We happen to have
want that
2
book.
guests
Yes,
today,
and
so
I'd
I
love to
think
hear
that we
from
need
her.
to
Oh,
move on
yes,
to our
exciting.
next guest. Best wishes to
Yes,
you, and
thank
we're
you.
delighted to have you with us.
All right, thank you. Yes.
And I would
Okay.
love a copy of the book.
All right, thank you. I will remember you. Yes.
Diane Morgan, we're so happy to have you with us. Diane happens to be my longtime friend, and I'm thrilled to have her. This is an elegant lady who lives in the suburbs of the Twin Cities and happens to raise sheep.
Wow.
And we invited her on the show to tell us about raising sheep.
Well, I've raised them since I was a young girl. I was raised in the country. And by the way, anyone here raised in the country?
I was.
Okay.
Yes.
Years ago, when I was a young girl, 80% of the population in this country was in the country.
Yes.
And 20% was in the city. Now it's the exact opposite.
It's the opposite.
But I was lucky enough to be raised in the country, and my father was a high school math and ag teacher. And all I ever wanted when I got old enough for 4-H was sheep. I was obsessed with sheep. And my dad said, okay, fine, we'll find the right breed for you. And at that time, the Southdown was a very popular sheep. It was what they called, they would raise hothouse lambs with this breed, and docile, easy for kids to handle. So I took my $15 and we went all the way over to North St. Paul. And I bought one sheep that had a baby, and her name was Paddleford.
Oh my
Her name was
goodness,
Paddleford.
Here we go.
For $15. Bought her from Ed Westfall, who was the sheriff of Washington County. Had a beautiful flock. Took her home, raised that lamb, showed it at the fair, won a trip to the Junior Livestock Show in South St. Paul, which is where I went to school in South St. Paul. And and then I won a trip to the Junior Livestock Show, which I ended up with a purple ribbon. And of course, the bankers and the buyers of these champion sheep gave me a little, I think we're a little bit prejudiced towards this little girl from South St. Paul with the sheep. So I made enough to go and buy 3 bred ewes that fall,
Oh, yeah.
and I've been raising them ever since.
It had to be a little hard, though, to sell the prize.
No, because these were weather lambs, fat lambs. And
What's a weather lamb?
weather lamb
What's
is a neutered male, and they are raised for food. They're
Is
raised
that
for
right?
food.
And were
Growing
you
up on the farm, you know that about
Right,
animals.
right.
right? That, I think that would be a question many viewers would ask
Right.
too.
A wether
When you were
is a
young
neutered
girl,
male.
How could you give up that lamb for
No,
food?
you don't, well, I've seen some young kids get pretty attached. But
Yes.
they know the end result is
You gotta-
that they're doing it to improve the breed and to make enough money to either go to school or buy more sheep or buy feed, because everything's expensive. So I had wonderful years of growing up, going to fairs, and went to the our Dakota County Fair was where we went.
Oh, yeah.
And I had good friends that, Gloria knows a couple of my good friends that I grew up with, and my one friend was a wonderful baker and sewer. And she would run trips to the state fair with her suits and her cooking, her baking. I would win trips to the fair with my sheep. But the girls are always with me in the barns because that's where the boys were.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So one year I decided I was going to start baking. I'm going to find out how about this baking business, because I was a terrible tomboy. So I made sugar cookies. Now, you can't screw up sugar cookies.
Well,
Well, I got a white ribbon on my sugar cookies and a purple ribbon on my sheep. That was the end of that. So I raised sheep for the rest. I mean, I showed sheep.
But you know, don't they say that sheep are dumb? That's
No.
what I've always heard. Sheep are dumb.
Sheep,
Good question,
Sheep are an animal that doesn't have the intelligence like we think of intelligence. They have phenomenal memories.
Oh.
They remember faces. They recognize faces.
Yes.
They remember, okay, just I got a lot of examples,
Yeah.
but I had an old ewe one time that needed extra feed. So I bribed her to come over to this pen, and I got her in the pen and gave her her grain. The next day, she was standing at that gate.
Right. Give me mine.
There are so many examples. Sheep have favorite pastures where they like to go to. I know of a case where a fellow would sing, a farmer would sing a song whenever he brought the sheep in at night.
Yes.
And about 2 years later, he had friends over, and they were standing out by the barnyard, and he just hummed this song, and the sheep got up, and they walked to where they were supposed to. Now, that's not intelligence. That's a marvelous memory.
A marvelous
Yeah.
memory.
Yeah.
And I had a similar thought. I was raised on the farm as well.
Okay.
But the one thing we didn't have were sheep.
No,
or
we didn't
lambs.
either.
Do they have a personality? I mean,
Oh,
you kind
absolutely.
of touched on that.
Absolutely. You have, in fact, I think I might have mentioned this to Gloria the other day. The sheep that do the best. Now, you have to remember, you guys, I've raised sheep for 70 years, so there might be people saying, what is she talking about? I'm not saying anything that I haven't experienced. The sheep that do the best are the ones that have a zest. They're the first one in the feeder. They're the first one to get through the fence, or they're the first one to come when you call them. That's a personality. They form bonds. Twins will be, I have 46 lambs right now, and I can go out there and the twins will be laying together. And a lot of them will keep that bond, if they happen to stay on the farm that long, all their life. But they do have personalities. I absolutely do have personalities. And you only know that if you're around them a lot.
Yeah.
That would make it hard not to get close to them.
Oh, I get close to them.
Yeah.
But the ones, now lamb, here's another issue. I love lamb. It's my favorite meat. It is my very favorite meat.
Yes.
And so there's always a couple that go in the freezer in the fall. But those are wethers, number one, and they're handled differently and they're fed differently.
Weathers is a word I hadn't.
Yes.
A wether?
Weathers.
That's the neutered male.
Can you explain all the terms, a ewe, a ram?
Well, you usually, when you have, okay, to give you an example of the sheep industry in our country. My dad was in the Second World War, and he would not, when he came home, even though he knew I was happy with my sheep, he wouldn't let my mother cook lamb in the house.
Oh.
Keep it away, he hated it. But they were fed New Zealand mutton in the war, canned New Zealand mutton. So it ruined a whole generation of men in our country that would not have anything to do with lamb.
I've heard people talk like that.
Yeah.
Mutton is
an older sheep.
Older sheep.
See, now when we put
It's
our
not
lambs in the
tender.
freezer, they're 6 months or younger. It's like butter. A ewe is a mother. A yearling is a sheep that is a year old and hasn't produced yet. It's like a heifer. They haven't had babies yet. And so a ram, of course, is a ram. That's
Right,
self-explanatory.
And a wether is a
neutered male.
Wow.
Is there a young female? Is there a name for a young female?
Just a ewe. We just call them ewe lambs.
Ewe lambs.
Ewes. Yeah.
So leg of lamb is really a lamb, not an older sheep.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
a year or under. A year or under.
Okay.
Do all of them have names? I mean, can you say, come here,
I
Sally.
don't name any.
You don't?
No.
Oh.
What I
really?
do is and most sheep breeders do this, they'll either notch their ears or they'll mark them some way.
Right, so
What I do is I number my lambs. This year's lambs are 1701, 1702, and I do it in black ink on their back, marking, and that stays with them for a long, long time. And then I put
Yeah.
ear tags in when they get older.
They must all look a little bit alike.
They should, if you are good at knowing genetics, they should
Okay.
look pretty similar, yeah.
But you can tell them apart. Can you?
The lambs?
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you get into the middle of lambing season, and I have often said this is my scenario. Can I tell them my scenario, Gloria?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, with lambing season, you have a very intense 3-4 weeks. And some breeders are breeding out of season. They're having lambs in the fall, and they're having lambs in January. I have mine in March. And it's an intense 3 weeks. So the first week, I'm starting to get tired because I'm up a lot.
Oh,
Don't sleep
up
much.
all night.
Sometimes.
They're born in the middle of the night.
And the second week, I start getting crabby. Really crabby. Because I'm so tired, The third week, I start to get paranoid.
Oh,
Because I have said to my friends, I'm going to be lambing this month. Don't call me. I can't get involved in this.
That's right.
I can't make soup for the soup supper. I got to be available. And so I'm thinking, well, I've told them not to call me. That's why they're not calling me.
Oh my.
And then I get over it. And then I get over it.
wants us to call.
Oh, yes, I still want you to call. And then I go to bed at night, and I've just taken a bath, and I crawl in bed, and I think, oh my God, it's in my hair. Oh no! But every shepherd goes through this. Every shepherd goes through it.
There's somewhat of an odor, isn't there?
Oh, sure.
I mean, and how do you get rid
Barn-
of that, or
Oh,
just get used to it, or?
you don't spend a whole night with a sheep underneath her helping the lamb get milk and getting your hair against the wool. It's not always like that.
Now, do you have a dog that kind of helps to?
No, we have a dog that loves our sheep.
Oh, okay.
But I'm a firm believer in my flock. They come when I call,
Oh, beautiful.
and they follow me. You can't chase sheep very easily. In fact, sheep herding people, when they have sheep trials, you'll notice there's never less than 3 to 6 sheep. Anything under that will not herd. And that's their natural instinct, is to herd and to flock. But you cannot, these dogs, the sheep won't do what the dogs want them to do. They run off in all directions.
Nip at them. Bark
Yeah,
at them.
no, they are flocking animals, and they need enough
Okay,
in this little flock for the dogs to
Wow.
direct.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have been at Diane's house, and she'll come outside to meet me when I come. As soon as the sheep hear her voice,
Oh, I have to sneak out.
she has to sneak out, and she
They
can't
hear me and
speak
they start to
because as soon as they hear
know
her
your
speak
voice.
or see her, they flock right to her. They want to come right to her. So are they imprinting on you? Is that the situation?
No, they're hungry.
or-
They just want to be fed all the time. They want to
they're
be fed
hungry all the time.
They're always hungry. Nursing ewes, this
Oh,
is
yeah,
nursing
yeah,
mothers.
nursing. Oh, yeah.
They're always hungry. And when lambing starts, that's another interesting thing. When lambing starts, it's hormones secreted by the lamb in utero that triggers the lambing process. And when that starts, it's the most beautiful thing to see. I am always, it's like a little miracle every time. It's like watching a little chicken come out of an egg.
yeah.
You know, they're wet, they're wobbly, they're just like, they'll never survive. Come back an hour later, they've got a belly full and they're licked off dry. And
Do you have big problems like with wolves or something? They're trying to get them kind of
no,
boxes or
no,
something?
no.
Nothing like
I have learned over the years, after burying sheep that dogs have killed,
Oh.
that when we built our place 30 years ago, I said I want a 150-foot square fence, 5-foot high non-climb, with a barn in the middle. And so I have the barn, and I have paddocks in the 150-foot square fence with small gates going out that I can open and close. Sheep want to come in at night. Their natural instinct is to come in and bed down. And predators don't like going through little gates
Oh, good.
interesting.
Okay.
because they are not too sure they're going to be able to get out.
That's right.
Yeah.
So these are things I've learned over the years.
Oh, good.
Another thing is when you have twins. When you have twins and the mother has maybe decided she only likes one, and that happens, and you've raised livestock, you've probably been aware of that. Sometimes they'll have a very hard delivery and they don't like the second one, or one will go off And the mother will follow that one, and the one left behind.
And they won't nurse it? She won't nurse it?
Well, she doesn't own it. She doesn't own it. She doesn't claim it. So you take both the twins away,
Oh,
and then bring them back.
Bring 'em
And
back.
most of the time, they'll take them. But a smart shepherd, if they have a good dog, will put the mother in the pen with the lamb that she doesn't want, and then she'll bring the dog in. And that mother has such a strong mothering instinct that she'll stamp and carry on and fuss so much that she'll take the lamb.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
It's really wonderful to see.
Oh.
Yeah, it is.
I know that happens with other animals too, where they,
If you can get them to
for
feel
whatever reason,
protective.
they
Yeah.
don't want
Interesting.
to be near the babies, but then you bring them back, and sometimes it works. So, what about my friend? I have a friend in Australia. She's a fashion designer, and she uses. They have the finest wool. Do
The
you-
merinos.
What is it? called?
Merinos is what they use in Australia.
Is that what it is? Okay.
No, we have, the South Downs have a nice wool, but they're not known for their wool. They're known for their meat. They're like the Black Angus in cattle.
Yes, known for meat.
okay.
They're known for their meat.
do you use their wool though?
Me, I have never had, shame on me, I have no interest whatsoever
Oh,
in the wool.
okay.
I just have never. I'm more interested in the conformation, and I've shown a lot over the years. I've shown locally, I've shown in the state fair. I've had a national champion over the years in '91. So I'm really more interested in animal husbandry, and that is the care and feeding of livestock.
Yeah.
I like the animal husbandry part. And
So when they do get shorn, someone comes to shear them, what do you do with that wool? What happens then?
we take it to a depot in Wisconsin. Everybody brings their wool there, and then the wool growers come and take it.
So you don't get paid for that?
Oh, yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Not much, but we get paid for it.
Now you have a staff, right? You know, like different people helping you.
No.
It's just you.
My
No
husband
way.
helps me. My husband helps me. Yeah.
What? I don't know why I thought you'd have a, you know.
It isn't that
how many
hard.
people do you have, though?
No.
How many people? How many sheep do you have?
I have 27 mothers, and I have 47 as of last night babies.
Just you and your husband?
They're pretty self-sufficient.
What is a day like? Do you get up? Do you have to feed them? Do
Oh,
they
sure.
expect to be fed at the
Well,
same time? Like cows, they
Yeah,
want to be
cows.
milked.
They want to be, yes, that's right.
It depends on if they've got lambs. During the month of March, when it's lambing season, it's up every morning, feed them, make sure all the lambs are okay. And when they have lambs, we put them in little pens, separate pens, for 2 or 3 days, so they get to like each other, and
Yeah.
everybody's got plenty of milk, and then we put them out. But the rest of the year, basically, especially once the grass gets green, it's make sure they have water, make sure they have mineral, rotate your pastures every month or so,
Yeah.
and they're carefree. They're pretty carefree.
Wow.
Except for lambing.
Except for lambing when I get paranoid.
Yeah. But isn't there some that have kind of an attitude? I mean, somebody say, this one it likes to just be mean to the other one.
Oh, sure.
I mean, don't you kind of
Oh,
see
sure.
that?
They don't stay long. They don't stay
Oh, they don't say,
no.
Are they used for meat? Is that what you're saying?
No, they just, there aren't a lot of goofy ones like that in the female side. The males are always nasty. You never turn your back on a male.
Really?
Never.
Wow.
You'll ram you?
Oh, absolutely. I know of people that have broken bones. It's like any male of the species. I mean, the cattle, the bulls.
Oh, bulls,
You
yeah.
know, stallions are considered the most dangerous domestic animal there is. So you have to be careful. They're kept
Did
separate.
not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're
I mean, I
kept
knew that
separate.
about bulls and whatever because I was on a farm myself, but I did not know that with sheep. I always thought they're so dumb that they wouldn't know how to run you over.
And you know, there's another old saying that a sick sheep is a dead sheep. And that is so not right.
What do they mean by that?
Because they think they're dumb and they're just going to lay there and die. But they're not. They have no interest in dying. And if you treat them properly, they'll get well.
Yeah. What's the most fun thing about raising sheep?
Oh,
and
watching
doing
the
it? Is this-
lambs play and frolic. When we let them out, they run in herds and just bounce and play and having bottle lambs for the company when they bring their kids.
Oh,
to
yeah.
see
Tell
the-
about bottle lambs a little bit.
No, I don't like, I have a lot of triplets. Well, I had 6 sets this year. And it takes a lot to maintain. First of all, a lot of ewes can't maintain 3.
Right, that's,
It's like cows, you have
That's
to,
a lot.
and you have to feed them extra, which makes a logistic problem in a flock. So usually, I will take the smallest one away. So all she has then is twins.
right.
And we are so lucky out there. There's a wonderful place called the Children's Farm in Lake Elmo. And they always take a couple lambs as a teaching tool for their little students. They love those lambs. So I usually manage to dump a couple there.
Oh,
Because it's fun to have bottle lambs, but it's also a pain.
What about with senior citizens? Why is that a good vocation for senior citizens?
Well, if they aren't of the bent to get into a townhouse or assisted living and want to stay out in the country, the most benefit that I can see is it gives you a purpose.
yeah.
Gets you up, it gets you out, and there's nothing about sheep that I don't like.
And it's not as hard or as expensive as raising cattle.
No, and it's not as dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you have to want to do that though, and if you're from the country originally, and are now retirement age, you were from the country when it really still was country. I had some friends brought out an older gentleman. This was about 6 or 7 years ago, that was raised in the country on a farm. He was in his 80s, and he'd had sheep and he'd had a couple bottle lambs when he was young. That man, he must have been 85. He actually had tears in his eyes.
Yeah.
He came out, and just to see those little lambs running around
And enjoyed it
and
so
then
much.
bouncing around, he just, he wrote me a thank you note, and he wanted to come out the next year, and I don't know if I think he passed away, but he was beside himself. It brought back
Thank you,
all those
Diane.
memories.
Wow, that's great.
We could go on
We
for a
could,
much
couldn't
more
we?
time,
Yes.
but I'm afraid we're out
Yes.
of time. And
Oh.
thank you so much. I think this has been very
This
interesting.
has been wonderful. I've been enjoying this.
One quick thing,
Diane.
can I say one more quick thing?
Go ahead.
The University of Minnesota does a rotation, a farm rotation, and they don't charge. And they'll come out and do whatever you need doing if you can't do it yourself. And so I give them credit for that. And also, I always ask them, they always bring like 5 or 6 of the graduating vet students with. And I always ask them, all right, how many of you are from the country, are from farms? It's amazing how few are anymore.
That's right.
How few
Not
are.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always feel bad. Okay, I'm not
Thank
taking
you,
too much time.
Diane. Thanks, Ellie, and Beverly, and Nadia, and Candy. What a
Thank you.
lovely day.
Yes.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Generations.